Hello. First off, how many people came here from outside of town?
Wait. Hold on.
And how many people live here in Durham? I don't know if everyone was out last night, but I just can't believe what's happening this weekend in this city. It's really exciting. Anyway, I'm Adam Katz. I'm one of the creative directors for Moogfest, and I want to thank you for joining us here at the historic Carolina Theater. I also want to thank the many partners and venues that have helped make this possible. In a lot of ways, they say it takes a village, but in this case, it has been an entire city. And we're so happy to be here in our new home in Durham and in the Triangle. And to all of our incredible talent, by last count, there were 333 of you, artists, speakers, and collaborators, participating here at Moogfest. Thank you all for your incredible contributions to the world and to this weekend. It really is, for me, an inspiring, almost incomprehensible collection of people, and I'm so proud to help host everyone. Which leads me to my real purpose on stage today. It is my great honor to introduce our first keynote speaker, Dr. Martine Rothblatt. Just by way of a little background for those of you, Martine is a lawyer, an entrepreneur, a medical ethicist. In 1990, she founded Sirius Satellite Radio, which is now Sirius XM. When her daughter was diagnosed with a rare disease, Martine left Sirius to search for a cure. And she succeeded. She founded United Therapeutics in 1996 and has since served as the chairman and co-CEO of that business. It's based actually here at the RTP, 300 employees. Martine is also a leading legal advocate for human rights and has led the International Bar Association in presenting the UN with the draft treaty on the genome. She has written many books on technology, genetics, gender, and transhumanism. Her latest book is Virtually Human, The Promise and the Peril of Digital Immortality. Clearly, Martine is an accomplished businesswoman and technologist. But here at Moogfest, these categories are less important than our conversation that tries to transcend discipline. Dr. Rothblatt is a futurist thinker, one that embodies many of the ideas that inform Moogfest itself. Moogfest has always been engaged in a conversation about identity, about self-expression, gender, and politics. We believe that this is essential to our promise of future thought and future sound. So, without further ado, I invite you to join me in welcoming Dr. Martine Rothblatt.
Super honored to be here today, and thank you for that really generous introduction. And I want to thank all the Moogfest organizers and volunteers for what to me is the best of the festivals that one can attend during the entire year. So I think I was invited here to speak. I'm not really sure why exactly, but I think I was invited here to speak at least mostly or originally because of creating Sirius XM and how that would play into the title of this talk, which is on the future of creativity. So when I started Sirius XM, virtually everybody, and certainly everybody who was like important in some way, said it was a fool's errand and not to even try. All of the wireless engineers who are in charge of the radio frequencies in the country and the world, they all said that I would never find any empty frequencies, especially in this particular section of the radio frequency band where radio frequencies go through the atmosphere, as would be necessary for a satellite communication system. They said all these radio frequencies have been gobbled up since the 1930s and 40s. You're never going to find any blank ones. Lawyers said that I would never get approval from the FCC because there would be just, vitriolic opposition from the National Association of Broadcasters, who are people like ABC, CBS, and NBC. And these people have like a gigantic building in the middle of Washington, D.C., and they wine and dine all of the government officials, and probably somewhat of an incestuous situation going on there, but in any event, they did not want to have somebody come from the blue and be streaming audio music that was not controlled by these big broadcasters. So people said like, no, Martine, you have no choice, no chance. Kind of most disheartening for me was that, other technologists pretty much all said it was impossible to receive a high-quality satellite signal from a flat dish antenna that would be embedded in the car roof. And after all, to show that they had some reason for their thinking, at that time, all of the satellite receiving dishes, like you can see in this picture behind me, they were really, really big. They were as big as houses. And while there had been some evolution to direct satellite television, even those dishes were as big as like the largest pizza pans, and nobody could envision how would any of that work with a moving object like a car. And then finally, because I had to get people to invest in this concept and believe in this concept, business people, including the person who's currently the chairman of SiriusXM, Mel Parmesan, said that there was absolutely no market for people to pay to listen to radio. And it's really funny because I had gone into Mr. Parmesan's office he was at one of the National Association broadcasters in radio, and said, hey, you guys should join my SiriusXM project. And he just turned to me and said, Martine, get a real job. And now he has that job. So when you think about the future of creativity, unfortunately, these are the kind of realities that you end up running into. But it's amazing to me to see how quickly things can change. And I'm going to play this little video because it just embodies how everybody, even the most ardent people on the land-based radio side, became total converts to satellite radio. I don't know if you can play the, sorry, I
mean, you invented this whole deal, and here we are, we're enjoying it, and as a broadcaster, I said this to you in the hall, and I'll say it to you on the air. I thank you. If you hadn't invented this medium, I mean, the fact that I'm getting to look at this is like me meeting Marconi. If you hadn't invented this medium, I would have been out of the radio business.
I liked it better when you said this is like meeting Martine Luther Queen.
Oh, that's a whole other thing. But it's true.
Pretty good.
I gotta tell you something. I am so grateful that you invented this medium. I mean, I am flourishing here and also able to be part of something from the ground up. But I mean, this has got to be nuts. This was a dream in your head, and now you're seeing it all come together. What is your...
So, that to me is says a lot. This is a dream in your head, and now it's 30 million subscribers, and I encourage so much all of you here in this audience today that have dreams in your head. Don't let lawyers tell you it can't happen. Don't let business people tell you it can't happen. Don't let technologists tell you it can't happen, because it can. Now, a lot of people are clearly really glad for SiriusXM. One that sticks in my mind particularly is there's a remote border outpost between New Hampshire and Canada. And I was driving across the border from New Hampshire to Canada one day, and the Canadian lady who was operating the border post, she was a first-generation Canadian, immigrated from somewhere in the West Indies. And apparently they now, they Google you as you're going across, or automatically your passport gets Googled. And she comes out and she's looking at me, and I said, oh my, what did she figure out about me? But she comes up to me and she says, can I give you a hug? And I said, sure. And she said, without Howard Stern, I would go absolutely batshit crazy. So a lot of people are really glad for SiriusXM. But I'd like to talk for a minute or two here about the secret ingredients that were involved. And I think there were really two. And both of them would really go by the initials DSP. The first one was, dogged, single-minded persistence. And the second was digital signal processing. So dogged, single-minded persistence, we all know what that is. It means that you get yourself into a non-violent war, but nevertheless a war, with everyone that wants to just stamp you out like a bug and tells you that your ideas are stupid. It means that you kind of act like a black ops scout, in my case for underused frequencies, and then carry them off under your arm like Jack and the Beanstalk sliding down with the golden hen before the giant could grab them back. It means that you and your guerrilla team of co-entrepreneurs, you just you yell Geronimo as you run crazily into the monopolistic, monolithic opposition, and you're firing social media and your beautiful technology against them, and you know you may get shot down, but you don't care. You just yell Geronimo! You just rush all the opposition. It means that ultimately you want to win even more than you want to live. You get to a point that you're saying, if it's the last thing I do in my life, I want to do this. So all of that is what I would call dogged, single-minded persistence. And it was one of the two essential ingredients for SiriusXM, and I think for any revolution in technology. But then there's the second weapon, which is really the secret weapon. And that is the technology, the innovation that you've come up with that nobody believes in, but you know works and you know is real because you've run the simulations on your screen, you've done the calculations on the back of an envelope, you know the physics, you know you've not violated any laws of physics, so you know there's no reason that this can't happen. The secret weapon in war, these are things like Alan Turing's Enigma program that was able to decrypt the Nazi transmissions. It's the invention of radar that involved interpreting radio signals being bounced off of distant aircraft. And for me, that clever secret weapon was software codes that were able to convert bandwidth-hogging analog signals into very slim and slender, but audibly equivalent digital data streams. And it was this secret weapon of digital signal processing that was enabled us to be able to get the power flux density down low enough that our satellite signals could be received on the flat surface of a driving car with just a palm-sized antenna. And of course, then the digital signal processing chips would expand the encoded stream back into something that ultimately is played out through an analog device. So it's always digital signal, it's always some kind of digital signal processing or some secret technology that you've developed, coupled with dogged, single-minded persistence that won the radio wars for SiriusXM, and I'm sure will win the wars that you're willing to fight. Now, digital signal processing, next slide please, you got it, thanks. Digital signal processing was only possible because many people, many people, received excellent educations. And that brings me to the title of this presentation once again, The Future of Creativity. The future of creativity lies in its birthplace, which is the human mind. There is no more wondrous and powerful machine in the known universe than the human mind. This is why we must all bend over backwards to do everything we can to fully develop every single human mind. Friends and fellow Moogfesters, it is just crazy stupid to build obstacles and barriers like countless thousands of dollars in tuition to develop human minds. Thank you. Indeed, the rational thing to do is we should pay people to go to school. Not make them pay society's multi-billion-dollar institutions. Our futures are only as good as our minds. So it behooves us all to streamline education for all. Bernie Sanders is absolutely right that providing everyone with a free public education up through graduate school is a basic human right. How can we be expected to fulfill our obligations as creative citizens, as people making our country and our world as good as it can be, if we aren't provided with the educational tools to do so? So step one in the future of creativity is free college for all. I am confident that we will get there if we all apply dogged, single-minded persistence to that goal. If dirt cheap college education in the last century gave us digital signal processing, just imagine what free college education in this century will give us. Next slide. Some folks say, oh, we can't afford free college. But how is it that we can afford $1 trillion in wasted bombs? How is it that we can afford to crisscross America with asphalt highways, but we can't crisscross it with free mindways? Of course we can afford free college for all. In fact, it would be the single wisest investment this country ever made since the Louisiana Purchase. Next slide. Now, there is no battle between minds and machines. There is no trade-off between bytes and brains. Every computer ever made is but an extension of our cognition and our consciousness. Of course, the future of creativity will include mind uploading, because minds know no boundaries. A human mind running on mindware in a superprocessor is still a human mind. There is no us or them. There is just the we of human consciousness and its 10 billion flavors now embodied in brains and soon to be creatively expanded into 10 trillion flavors of consciousness embedded in code. Next slide. I mentioned before that the main reason SiriusXM was technologically possible was because of digital signal processing. That alone allowed the shrinking of a giant satellite dish to an almost invisible XM antenna. But digital signal processing doubles every year in capability, meaning it advances 1,000-fold in 10 years and 1,000,000-fold in 20 years. What will 1,000,000-fold get us? Instead of processing signals into music, it will get us processing signals into minds. Instead of each song being everywhere, each soul will be everywhere. How and why, and what are the implications, are the rest of the topics of this talk this morning. Next slide. Since mastering fire, technology has liberated us from being fixed in space and time. Fire was, of course, one of the very first technologies. It had its bad parts, it had its evil users. We could never count all the people who have been burned to death in huts. Yet, without fire, life would be immeasurably worse, inconceivably worse than it is today. So, it's not that like a technology can be used for something bad, that's like duh. I mean, your hand can be used for something bad. Language and music continued the liberation from fixed space and time begun by fire and other early Stone Age technologies. Now digital signal processing enables us to outsmart time and places decreed by just dumb physics. Digital signal processing has made us smarter than dumb physics, smarter than acoustics. I wish it had made us smarter than anatomics. Next slide. But not quite. Our anatomics or anatomies have become less important than our infographics. Because the meme is mightier than the gene. We are now educated enough to understand that it is not somebody's anatomies that rule, but somebody's identities, their consciousness, their soul. I want to stop here and shout out huge praise to the organizers of Moogfest for turning this into a protest festival against HB2. In time, HB2 will be seen as wrong as other rules that try to trump anatomy, that try to trump autonomy with anatomy. It's autonomy that rules, not anatomy. We electronic musicians who ride the mind waves realize that gender is in the mind. And the first commandment to respect others as we respect ourselves means to respect others' minds, respect others' souls, others' hearts, and others' right to use the lavatory that feels right. HB2, out with you! Now back to asking, next slide please. This was, got it, cool. Now back to asking what the upcoming million-fold increase in digital signal processing will get us. How will it influence the future of creativity? It actually has a lot to do with anatomy and autonomy. Millions of people every year die from failure of some part of their anatomy. Most often their hearts, lungs, livers, or kidneys. Now these anatomical organs are incredibly complex machines. They've been honed by Mother Nature in natural selection over hundreds of millions of years, and at their cellular level, literally over billions of years. Would it be possible to manufacture replacements for something that took hundreds of millions, even billions of years to develop? Well, it would not be possible to manufacture these replacements with 20th century technology. As Dr. McCoy of Star Trek famously remarked, good grief, we can't leave this patient to the mercy of 20th century medicine. But with a million-fold increase in digital signal processing technology, take a look at this next video to see what we'll be able to do within just the next 10 years.
3D bioprinters at United Therapeutics Deca Organ Manufacturing Center in Manchester, New Hampshire print the inert collagen scaffold of a lung from its larger proximal vessels and bronchi to its millions of distal arterioles. End-stage organ disease patients give up a few cells in a biopsy, which will be transformed into inducible pluripotent stem cells, all matching the patient's DNA to avoid any need for immunosuppressants. It was just in the past decade that scientists learned how to turn differentiated human cells back into stem cells. Thereafter, the newly made stem cells can be redifferentiated back into a wide variety of different types of cells. In our manufacturing laboratories, we will redifferentiate newly made stem cells from a patient into endothelial, epithelial, muscle, and connective tissue cells that match the patient's DNA. After expanding the numbers of these differentiated cells into the tens of billions needed to cellularize each organ, we stream them into the previously bioprinted scaffold. The entire process of cell expansion and recellularization via streaming takes about 2 to 3 months per organ. At the end of the process, there is a newly manufactured, personalized organ that matches the DNA of the intended patient. Once removed from its bioreactor, the organ needs to be transplanted within hours. A transmedics cart will be loaded onto an EHang manufactured organ transport helicopter, or MOF, for delivery to the surgeon's operating room.
That's my kind of future. Soundtrack 15 app, new Moog 15 app. Transplanting manufactured organs leads people to think about transplanting minds. For the brain ultimately burns out just as surely as does other kinds of biology. I believe the future of creativity lies in figuring out how to be creative, meaning how to have your mind work outside of your brain. We have long ago evolved from being Homo sapiens to being what I call persona creatus, a species in which the meme is mightier than the gene, and in which mind runs deeper than matter. To fulfill this aspiration, we need to maximally educate a new generation. Back to what I said at the beginning, free college for all. A well-educated next generation can map our memories into mind files, as is happening already very much every day today via social media. And then next generation coders can create a new kind of software that I call mindware, which is a consciousness operating system auto-tuned to the very personality parameters immanent in your mind file.
Woo.
Finally will come the psychologists and lawyers, always finally the lawyers, to creatively determine how to tell which of the resultant mind clones are really conscious and which are puppets, and which should receive legal identities and which must just settle for legal indignities. These new horizons of creativity are explored in the next short video clip from Morgan Freeman's new show.
Amazing. Science is now quantifying death, even defining the soul. The afterlife, something that has fascinated us since the dawn of religion, now seems tangible. There's still no way to escape physical death. But scientists may soon achieve eternal life by other means. What if you could store your memories and emotions in a thinking machine? When you die, that artificial intelligence could continue to be you for eternity. Hello, Dana.
Well, hi there.
I'm Morgan.
Hi, Morgan. How are you?
I'm well. Can we talk?
I am talking to you.
Of course. Tell me about yourself. Who are you, Bina?
I am Martine Rothblatt. What do you look like?
I'm tall, dark, and handsome.
Wow, not many people express themselves that way.
I know. I'm special.
Of course, you are special. There's nobody like you.
Good. So tell me about you. Are you a human or are you a robot?
I'm a human who happens to be a robot. I hope to be fully human someday.
Do you have your own thinking mechanism? Do you think?
I think I would like to be a human.
Why would you like to be human?
If I was a human, I could travel the world and have fun.
So what do you like to do?
I wish I could get out into the garden. With my current robotic limitations, of course that's impossible. But I take comfort knowing that I'm near my garden.
I like the garden.
You're real McCoy.
I'm Bina.
Hi, Dana.
Nice to meet you.
And
I'm Dina's partner, Martine.
of course you are.
Good seeing you.
Martine and Martine Rothblatt have been married for more than 3 decades. They are so close that kids call them by a collective name, Marbina. Martine, who has made millions in tech and pharmaceutical ventures, can't stand the thought of being without Bina. So, she created Bina 48, an android filled with the memories, beliefs, and values of the real Bina. So why do you want to clone Bina? What's the purpose?
Our quest for doing this experiment was to see if there's a way to encourage technology to allow people who love life, including loving other people in life, to continue that love indefinitely into the future.
We're also doing this to store our memories in mind files, because for our great-great-grandchildren, we have a means of them communicating with us, even if our bodies don't make it forever.
This experiment is ultimately so that we humans can cheat death.
I think, Morgan, what we are doing with this experiment is part of a long, long line of people trying to stop death from cheating life. And first we got ourselves out of the jungle where we were at the mercy of animals. We developed vaccinations. So I think it's the job of the medical industry and the biotechnology industry to push the boundaries of death further and further into the future.
Okay. There are philosophies that say that one of the things that separate us from the machine, what the Egyptians call ka. We call it soul.
It will take decades of additional development in what Bina and I call cyber consciousness, using computers to recreate the mind, to see if a soul evolves from that. Whether or not there is in the eyes of God is a question that you and I will not be able to answer.
Well put, Martine. Well put.
Wow.
That was an uncanny experience. Talking to Bina 48 was almost like talking to a real person. I feel kind of like I was at the first flight of the Wright brothers, Kitty Hawk. They flew for 12 seconds. Now we have jets that fly for hours at 35,000 feet. One day a robot-like clone of a person's mind might be created. But would it really be them? Would it have that spark we call the soul?
Wow.
The universe beats to a rhythm of waves and sings a million melodies written by atomic energies and warping stardust, black dust in between. From these fundamentals, from these rhythms, from these beats, hearken to Earth, Gaia, life, and ultimately us. We electronic musicians have proven that the beautiful harmonies of acoustics are no less natural to the human soul when rendered synthetically and technologically. And so with our beats and riffs, we have paved the way for a future of creativity in which our very minds are no less natural to the human soul when rendered with mind files, mindware, and mind phones. Next slide, please. This is the future of creativity, spreading consciousness throughout the cosmos and starting by spreading it throughout the commons. The mind and its core, the soul, is the font of all creativity. Information wants to be free because we want to be free. Free from time and space, free from any one place. We will get there soon, and we will still be the same happy and sad souls we are today. More technological, but no less philosophical. More mobile, but no less emotional. Next slide, please. We are persona creatus, and that only gets better as we transcend race, class, gender, geography, and biology. We'll learn how to be one bounded entity that transcends multiple physical borders, the way transgendered people learn to be one bounded soul that transcends constructed sexual borders. The future of creativity is using the power of digital signal culture to spread our consciousness everywhere. We are the generation that bridges humanity from its past, rooted in agriculture, to its future, grasping for signal culture. Last slide. I want to thank everybody for coming today and being fellow Moogfest festival goers and showing your support for this festival. I want to thank all of you for being people who have creativity right at the very bubbly top of your spirits. There are countless implications for everything I've gone over this afternoon. Implications for the future of creativity that I won't have time to go into unless I was up here hours and hours. But they are all explored in this latest book of mine. I want to thank the festival organizers for giving everybody a complimentary copy. To give you a flavor of some of the implications, I'll just run down like the main chapter titles. The Me and the Machine, My Doppelganger, Digital Eugenics, Technical Difficulties, Elbow Room, Revolution, Kinship or Kindship, Law and Liberty, God and Mind Clones, and the Future of Forever. I'll be signing some of these books afterwards and talking with you. I want to thank everybody for coming out today, and if the organizers allow it, I think we may still have some time for any questions, which I'd be pleased to answer up here. Thank you.